Hey, what's up? My name is John O. Nelson. I am the ultimate uh Renaissance man. That's
Mm,
who I am. I am a cat straight out of Harlem, New York City. Born and raised. Then I moved to LA, and but that's who I am. I'm
yeah.
John O from Harlem.
Mm,
All that other stuff doesn't matter. I'm John from
mm.
Harlem.
How was so I love that because how was I'm from originally from Brooklyn. So how was the environment in the neighborhood growing up in Harlem, and how did that shape who you are as John O, right? As one of
Right.
the layers of you getting to know who you are before we start getting into actor, rapper, writer, just
Right.
how did that shape who and what you are?
Well, I know I'm a tad bit older than you, but I
Yeah.
think we pretty much have the same kind of upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, I mean, we both come from the inner city of New
Yeah.
York, whether it's Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it's kind of the same, just a different, they just call it a different part
Yeah.
of New York.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up in Harlem was it was it was about community.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody looked out for each other, for the most part. Um, I don't think I would have preferred to grow up anywhere else other than New York City. I
Mm-hmm.
think New York is a breeding ground for success,
Right.
for making you strong, for just having an awareness that most other people don't have.
Yep.
So yeah, I am so grateful to have been blessed to grow up in New York City.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Harlem was great, man. It was summertime picnics and
Mm-hmm.
cookouts and water fountains, water hydrants on,
Mm-hmm.
and playing in the park. Again, like I said, I'm a lot older, so I would like to say I was there at the birth of hip hop. So I seen
Mm.
the jams in the park, by those who became extremely famous
Yeah.
and those who didn't. You know,
Yeah.
but they were famous around the neighborhood. They only got hood fame, but then
Mm.
there were some who took off, and so I got to be. I'm glad I was privileged enough to see it from the birth.
Mm. How instrumental was that to you to like seeing this birth of hip hop, being around it, and people still discovering it, or figuring out the ins and outs? Like it's a living spirit, so it's learning and growing as people are using it and learning from it. How was that instrumental to you to be like, what's this, and like how did that passion come to be?
Right. Well, I would have to say this. For most people my age, the first massive introduction to it was, of course, Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
But I was also fortunate enough, though I shouldn't have been,
Hmm.
um, at jams that uh, garnered these guys, these hood celebrities like the Cold Crush and the
Yeah.
Treacherous Three, and the guys who came, who were there at the same time, but made a splash a little later.
Mm.
Um, so it shaped me in a way of, wow, these are they were older than me, but I always felt like they were my peers. So
Mm.
what they were doing, I felt I could do. They made me feel like I could do what they were doing. So that was one molding of John Ollie. These hip hop hood heroes who I seen get to rock a mic and girls liked them.
Mm.
Most guys that wanted to do emceeing back then was really trying to get girls.
Yeah.
Throw the party to get the girls.
Hmm.
Um, some others used it for getting high. They wanted to get money to get high.
Yeah.
So what it was. But that's what it was, man. It
Mm.
molded me in the sense of, wow, what they're doing, I love that. That's what I want to do
Yeah.
for as long as I can do it.
So how did you use it? Because you had this great thing, like how people was doing it and using it for for many reasons. What
Right.
was some of your reasons, and how did it benefit you? And what how did you use it into? I wouldn't say your advantage, but into your growth.
Right. Well, okay. So one of my earliest, uh, I guess we're gonna call this the shaping episode or the
Mm.
shaping, yeah, shaping episode.
Shaping of John O.
The shaping of John O.
New
This is the
album coming out
beginning,
next
right?
week. Actually,
Right.
mixtape.
Right. So, so what it did for me was give me the ability to speak in front of people
Mm.
with no problem. I learned how to freestyle very well as a young kid and even as an older man. But let's talk back then.
Yeah.
And because of that, it 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 helped me with words
Mm.
to want to learn words. It helped me with thinking on my feet faster. Uh, and it helped me to be able to engage with people in a way that was entertaining. So those would be three of the elements that I say that shaped me early on with it and how it helped me to
Mm.
move forward and then become later an artist.
Mm.
Because at that point, we just cats around the way,
Yeah.
just rhyming in the staircase or rhyming at a party, or the biggest thing was rhyming in school,
Yeah.
and and it helped shape me to become an artist.
Mm. How did it help shape you to uh become a man in a sense, where or to communicate, and maybe break down these barriers in society where men don't really communicate or feel vulnerable. Because the reason why I asked that, I was listening to some of your tracks, and one of my favorites is That's Life. And I want to dive into that, where you get very vulnerable and personal on that track, from one
Right.
verse about your son, and then another verse about a love interest that
His
faced.
mom.
Yeah, his mom. And then where you even admit that, like, your ego got into play and stuff like that. And I think it was the last verse.
Hmm.
And just had to accept, you know
That
this is the
that we
path
not
now,
together.
that we're
Yeah.
not together. And to me,
Right.
I'm like, I think why I love that track is that I'm so attracted to honesty and truth, whether the person is right or wrong. Just hearing someone taking responsibility and then
Hmm.
using their art form to speak that, to me, I think that's beautiful. And it speaks loud and clearly uh, about the transformation,
Right.
for you to talk about that. And also the balls that you need to actually, hear it and then admit it and then now put it out to the world. Because now it's no
Right.
person, it's not like no longer yours. So how did
Right.
hip hop and the writing now helped you, become one with these feelings and to put yourself out there as an artist and as John knows, like, this is me, this is a track, and I'm
Mhm.
letting it all hang out.
Okay, so I'm going to say this early on. This Jono that we know today is not the Jono of the past.
Yeah.
Um, I was extremely self-conscious
Mm-hmm.
as a kid, and hip hop somewhat brought me out of my shell,
Mm.
but it didn't bring me out to the capacity that we see me are today,
Right.
that I am today. I was very not into uh, spilling the beans, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, you grew up in the hood. You always hear this. I mean, you can't. Certain things you just can't
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
You know. You
Exactly.
know.
You sound
You
like a
know.
bitch. Yeah. Like.
Right. You sound like this,
Yeah.
and not even about being a bitch, but don't say these things because you don't want nobody to, one, either know about it,
Oh.
use it as ammunition
Mm-hmm.
against you.
Yeah.
Um, um, some would say, how cats rhyme today. You say certain stuff like that, you catch a case behind.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm riding around with the Glock in my.
Yeah.
We was taught younger at a younger age. Now it's certain things you just don't say.
Yeah.
So, and then growing up in the black and browns of where we grew up, there's a stigma on men
Yeah.
to not be expressive. You
Mm-hmm.
know, yo, shut up,
Yeah.
man up is the thing that you used to hear. Man, fuck
Yep.
all that bullshit, man up. What fuck you crying for? Don't be
Yep.
crying. Real men don't cry. All that shit, all that bullshit that we were fed as younger men or
Mm.
boys who didn't know no better. And for a long time, Rick, I wasn't trying to put that in my music.
Mm.
It was all about, okay. Now let me say this. There was a point where I would always talk about girls,
Yeah.
but not to the depth of what I do today.
Right.
Some would say to a fault, but I have to express this to certain women who had issues with Lawton. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about, even though I wrote it and you're in it, it wasn't about you. It was about me getting my shit out.
Right. And
Um,
that's how I received it.
right. This is my truth. Now, if you feel any way offended, then I apologize for that. But my intention was never that. My intention was to tell my truth, and it just so happens that within my truth,
You're in it.
you pass through my life. So, um, but for the most part, most girls, you know, a lot of girls haven't even heard it, which is the
Yeah.
sad part.
Yeah.
But those who have, some was cool with it, some weren't.
How what initiated that spark for you to be like, you've been rapping in a certain way for a big part of your life, and then, like you said, I wasn't touching that, I wasn't rapping about those things, but what ignited that spark to be like, you know what, I'm gonna break the stigma within myself, and I'm not gonna follow these layers or these goals or these bullet points that I was taught. I'm just gonna be free and then face my shit. What was that spark for you to start rap differently, and to do what you do right now? Because
I
I
can
love that. I
tell,
think that's like a character arc where you break, from yourself.
and I can tell you the exact song, the
Mm.
exact track, and the exact moment.
What you was wearing too.
I actually had on a hoodie. I actually had on a hoodie that day. Um, so a friend of mine from Texas named D Rose, who's been on a couple of my songs,
Mm.
sent me a track. He sent me a track, and it was entitled "Wonderful."
Mm.
Um, and the beat, just for me, my writing process is, the beat tells me what to say. Um,
Mm.
Once I hear the music, I know where I'm going to go with it. And for some reason or another, I had a lot of pent up past stuff shit
Yeah.
with me. And I can't say what I can't say if the things that I said in that had happened right at that time,
Mm.
but they were things that I wanted to talk about at the time.
Right.
And this track was it. And I
Mm.
was it's five of us on the song, and I got the track and I wrote my verse first, and I wrote it in like 20 minutes.
Mm.
And when I recorded it, I sent it to everybody else, and everybody was like, "Oh shit, you went there?"
Mm.
And I think because I did what I did caused the chain reaction for the
Mm.
other four gentlemen to be like, all right, well then, if John is taking it there, then we either gonna have to match him
Yeah.
or go over. And
Right.
that was the turning point. The song "Wonderful" was the turning point for me, with spilling my truth.
How did you feel after that?
You
Because
know,
this
I
is
really
something. This was something like, in a sense, quote unquote, new, stepping out
right.
of your shell
and
within
and
you.
and, and getting things off my shoulders,
Yeah.
so to speak. Um, I really didn't feel anything
Mm.
initially. It wasn't until people heard it that it resonated.
Mm.
Because as an artist, you write things and you hope it's received well or whatever.
Right.
Um, and I didn't really think about it until people were like, "Well, damn,
Mm.
you went there. You said a lot."
Mm.
And it was from that point on that I said to myself, you know what, I just gotta say what I feel.
Mm.
I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not, I don't have millions of dollars like Jay and all of them. So I'm not going to talk about expensive art on my wall. I talk about what is real to me. And in our community, sometimes you get shunned for two reasons. One, because you're being phony, like you're pretending to be something you're not. And then two, you get like, well, damn, you telling too much.
Right.
So for me, that was the turning point, and I made it. I make it a conscious effort now to express myself the way I feel, and I think it has to be that way for me now because people. The funny thing is, I have kids,
Yeah.
plural. But the one that everybody sees is the one that's always with me.
Right.
So before him, my daughter, I I was hands on, but far away.
Hmm.
With Jo, I'm right here.
Right.
We're together. So this revert back to what I was saying is the reason I do this now is I want my son to understand as a man, you don't have to be, you don't have to hide your feelings.
Mm.
You don't have to keep, things suppressed. Um, God rest this guy's soul. Regina King's son,
Mm.
who killed himself. I can't even imagine what
Hmm.
she thought.
Right.
Like, what did I miss? What did I miss? Why, and I don't never want to have that what did I miss moment with my son. So
Mm.
I need him to be able to express himself. I need him to be able to tell me whether it'll hurt me or not, what
Hmm.
happened. Don't lie to me because I'm the one that's going to go and fight the battle for you
Hmm.
at all costs, even if you're wrong.
Yeah.
So just let's be on the same page. Don't be afraid to cry. Um, and I have to do that in my music so that
Mm.
when I am not here anymore, um, he will have that, and those who out there who need it will
Hmm.
have that. So,
Does the game plan change a little bit? What you're passing on to your son and what you want from him? Does it change initially with your daughter, or
oh
you?
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
mean, any parent that tells you who have, a boy and a girl
Yeah.
that, and especially as a man,
Hmm.
there's shit I wouldn't say or do
Yeah. Yeah.
around my daughter.
Well, but I'm saying like you implement those same things in her,
Oh yes,
maybe more to
yes,
be like, yo, be honest.
right. My
It's okay to
daughter,
cry.
is she teaches me,
Mm.
and even though she's younger than I, she teaches me. She's very smart, and she's very in tune, a little bit too much in tune with her feelings, where she's extremely emotional. But most,
Mm.
no disrespect, but
Right.
women
Right.
are a little bit more emotional
Right.
with things than men. So yes, I of course I treat them differently,
Right. Right.
but Jo is extremely sensitive as well. But he's 7 right now, so.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there's definitely a difference, and I definitely instilled in her about education.
Yeah.
Always express yourself. Never feel you have to hold your tongue for anybody. If they can't accept what you said, then that's on them. And if somebody asks you a question, you tell them the truth. You
Mm.
know, um, there's no need for you to feel, and that you gotta to cater to anyone's
Yeah.
feelings. Uh, yeah.
How did fatherhood play a factor into like your life and into your music now? Because that's a different level and responsibility now. Having kids, and I would
Right.
assume that, of course, it did mold you and shape you a great deal because, like you said, you touched something which is great, where kids teach us if you allow it. Because sometimes when your
Right.
parents and our parents, they felt like maybe they was never wrong, right? And they don't want to hear your side or whatever they say goes. So how having kids and then also having this different mindset of like being honest and taking responsibility may helped you molded you into a different person.
Um, Okay, so I, I'm going to say this, and again, this is keeping with transparency. Um, my daughter lived with her mother
Yeah.
in Staten Island, and I would make it a point to go over there as much as I could
Mm-hmm.
for the first 5 years of her life. But at some point, me and her mother were, and still are, on the worst terms.
Mm, got you.
Um, so it sucks when that happens and you allow it to affect
Mm-hmm. The
the
relationship.
relationship. But when Ashley got old enough, her and I would hang out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my daughter got pregnant at 15,
Mm,
and her mother chose to keep it a secret from me, and that was the reason of our falling out.
right.
Um, and up until that point, me and my daughter had a great rapport of father-daughter relationship. Tell me anything, and that put a strain on it
Mm-hmm.
because and then later we had the conversation and she was like, well, Dad, to be honest with you, the reason I didn't say, and I get it, is because I didn't want to disappoint you.
Mm-hmm.
We had a plan. My daughter was supposed to graduate high school, go to California, go to Berkeley,
Yeah.
and do marine biology and all
Mm-hmm.
that. And all of that got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So I was disappointed, but I was not upset. And I
Mm,
wouldn't have been upset if you just came and told me.
mm,
Uh, um, so my relationship with her was, not to any fault of her and I, but it was a little touchy feely at one
right.
point because she lived with her mother and
Mm,
I didn't want to go over there. So we would have to call. Then we add the aspect that I moved to California.
yeah.
So I was in LA, from 2000, and I missed a lot. I would always come back to New York, and every time I did, we would hang out. But I wasn't as hands on
Right.
as I
Right.
could have been. We conversate on the phone, and then it was sometimes when her mother didn't even want her to call me.
Yeah.
So it shaped me, but not how Jo has shaped me.
Right.
Um, Now we fast forward to 2014. I'm with his mom. She gets pregnant. She's a girl that I met in Michigan, and we became very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we always stayed in contact with each other. And I wanted to hit.
Yeah.
Uh, and one day she came down to LA. We smashed. That wasn't when it happened.
Oh,
But
okay.
then she wound up moving to Cali, and she was like, yo, I don't have a place to stay. I wasn't really seeing it as a girlfriend boyfriend situation at that
Mm,
time, but I was like, yo, I have an extra bedroom because my roommate just moved out. So
mm,
you can stay here. I'm always on the road anyway. I'm back and forth to New York and this place and that place. So I really didn't think about it. I just was like, yo, good Samaritan type situation.
yeah.
But you can't a brother of my caliber with a pretty girl in the house, as they would say, in-house pussy,
Yeah.
you going one
Mm-hmm.
fuck.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened. And we
Mm,
continued to look. And we became a couple and we had our son. And then at one point, 9 months later, after after he was 9 months, going into 10 months, she decided that this wasn't working out
mm,
and she was going to leave. And initially, when she said what she said, there was a range of emotions that went through
mm-hmm.
my head. Like, wait a minute, she gonna take my son? Wait a minute, she not gonna leave this little nigga with me? Oh, wait a minute, what,
Yeah.
like all kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then when she was like, well, I'm leaving him with you, and then I was like, you selfish bitch,
Yeah.
how you gonna leave this little nigga with
Yeah.
me? I got a life, I'm trying to do shit.
Yeah.
But I to revert back to Harlem, I seen a lot of men in my community who weren't fathers to certain children,
Yeah.
but they became that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what made me step up. I had a stepfather, Al Brown, God rest his soul, who I wasn't his son, but until the day that man left this earth, he called me his son.
Mm,
And and biologically we had no blood, no nothing, but that's how it looked upon.
Spiritually,
And
yeah, you guys
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Yep.
So for that, I knew I had to do this for him. I had to do this for every black man who gets play or and Spanish man who gets placed upon with the stigma of, oh, you ain't shit, you
Yeah.
ain't shit father, or you a deadbeat dad. And I'm doing the hands because that's what girls would do. Oh, this nigga ain't shit, he don't never
Mhm.
take care of his kid. So I think, and it's funny because I always say this, all my friends, my male friends,
Mhm.
are in their kids' lives hard. Like, I don't know no deadbeat dads.
Mm.
I don't know them. Not that they're not out there, but they're not in my circle. Like
Yeah.
every friend of mine that has a child is either married to the woman and they're in the house, or they are co-parenting, healthy,
Yeah.
a healthy co-parent situation. So I don't even know that. I don't even know that world. And I continue to call myself breaking this stereotype. And Charlie Murphy once said, when people was like, because he did the same thing. His wife
Mhm.
died, and he had to take care of his two kids. And I remember seeing him doing, like, people giving him a round of applause, and he's like, "Nah, don't clap for some shit that I'm supposed to be doing as a man.
Mm.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing, taking care of my kids. So I understand because of the stigma, but don't clap for me. This is what I'm supposed to do."
Mhm.
And that stuck in my head, and me and Jo, we ride or die to this day.
Mm.
So it shaped me to be a
Yeah.
better man. Yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
there's I feel like there was another reason, where this big responsibility came your way. In hindsight, it was going to give you the lessons and journey that you needed, that you supposed to get with the first one. But shit happens, life, and the relationship with your mother and the daughter and stuff like that. It's life, and now
Right.
here it is coming again, but this time in a sense that the roles are reversed, where the woman's like, which you don't normally hear a lot. It's out there, but that type of story, you don't see it on full blast. It's always the other way around. The guy
Right.
leaves,
Right.
where now you're like, she's dropping all the responsibility and everything on you, and you could either fumble it, or own up to it. And I'm glad that you own up to it, because you wouldn't be where you at today as a man and also as a human being if it wasn't for this journey. You would have been missing so much.
And there's not a day that doesn't go by, Rick,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't wake up and put my feet on the floor and thank God
Mm-hmm.
that I have him. He is, he's everything. He's
how,
everything.
how now this is great to touch on, because you know what were what were the challenges and the solutions that you found to make this work for you? You're still an artist. You still want to do what you want to do. You don't want to put certain things on hold, but certain things might have to be on hold for a certain amount of time while you pick things back up. You don't have support from this woman. Like, now it's like, you hear the story of, the single parent mom, but now you're the single parent father, which to me, this is so interesting because I haven't heard this perspective a lot. So I want to know what works for you, what didn't work for you, where did you start? As in, like, fuck, now I have this baby. What do I do? How do you maneuver? Right? You know what I'm saying? There's like so many questions that I have, but I knew that you had the same questions too.
Right. Well, I didn't. I didn't let it limit me.
Mm.
Okay.
Say that again. I love that.
I did not let it limit me,
Mm.
and I say that to say this. I was, as you know, of course, we already established that I'm an artist, and I was in LA acting. That
Mm-hmm.
was my bread and butter. Um, I also was fortunate enough to make music and be on the road with Cameo.
Yeah.
Um, and it was crazy because of the first 2 years, Jo, everywhere I went, if I had to go on the road, he was there.
Mm.
Um, the great thing about the first 2 years, he don't have to pay for no planes. So wherever I went,
Yeah.
he went. So it was like whatever. And then while I'm on stage rapping or doing whatever I'm doing, he was literally like standing on the in the wings,
Yeah.
uh being held by one of the band members,
Mm.
like until I came off stage. Um, the acting part was hard as fuck,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to give it up to three women. One, I give it up first because I'm gonna do this in this order. One, I'm gonna give it up to my landlord that lived in where I lived at, Miss Betty Rydell, who has passed away.
Mm.
When his mother left, I couldn't work
Mm-hmm.
because he was 9 months. I didn't trust anybody with my son. I was like,
Yep.
fuck that, not whatever. But my landlady, and I'm getting a little emotional.
No, that's beautiful.
My landlady said, I understand what you're going through. You don't have to pay no rent for the next 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bless her spirit, her soul. That is incredible.
Yo, I can't even tell you, Rick. Like, I really wish that woman was still alive.
Mm.
Just I don't know. Just I don't know what I would say or what I could do. But yeah, so I didn't have to pay no rent for 2 years while I was trying to work and
Wow.
get things established. The second one I have to put, and I'm sorry I put that person before, but I needed that to be told, was my mother.
Yeah.
My mother flew out from New York and stayed with me for 6 months, gave up whatever she had to do in New York
Mm.
and came. Now I always fuck with her about the fact that I was in LA for up until that point, 14 years,
Yeah.
and she never once came to visit me.
Yeah, there goes JL.
I know,
Yes.
3 weeks, 3 weeks after he was born. What's up, son? Huh? I'm doing something, man. What do you want? Well, get it, and close my door. All right, I'll be out in a minute.
This is great. Big ass
Yeah,
cut.
I know, right? Close the door, man, because I'm talking to him. Bye. Um, my
Fatherhood. You see it
mom,
here firsthand.
right? My mother came out, and like I said, 3 weeks into him being born, she took a trip out here, and that
Mm.
never out there, and never had
Yeah.
been to LA to see me. But then she came out for 6 months, and she stayed with me, and she helped raise, her grandson. Uh, the next lady is his other grandmother,
Mm.
which is his mom's mother.
Yeah.
She came out and she helped. And then it was times where I would have to where I couldn't really take him where I needed to go. So I would fly all the way here to Oklahoma, leave him for the summer, and then go do what I had to do, and then come back and get him. And then, then my mom would come out again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
so,
just shows that there's always a way. And like you said, you didn't limit yourself. And of course, everyone needs help one way or the other. And you
right,
had that help and you allowed yourself to be like, accept it, right? Because there's people's like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna figure it out on my own. I don't need nobody. But nah, man, it takes a village. And then two, you needed the help, received the help, and made it work in your
right.
way, in your own way. And I think that's amazing, man, and beautiful, because it shows that we're capable, right?
Right.
And no matter what, no matter how difficult way things may be, there's always a positive solution. But you have to work for it. Even in
Yeah.
situation, you still had to help, but at the end of the day, you still had to do what you had to do for yourself and your son. And that
Right.
came from you, nobody else.
Right. Yeah. And that's what, as he got older, I don't know why I'm still in this, but
Mm.
as he got older, I had to get a babysitter because I,
Mhm.
trusted, and then that didn't work out because I
You didn't
fucked the
fuck the baby. I
babysitter.
was gonna.
I fucked it.
That's what I said. You fucked the babysitter. Another baby on the way.
No, other baby. But yeah. But anyway, that yeah, that's what happened. I fucked the babysitter, and
Oh my god,
she
he
just
was like,
wilded out.
"This is great."
Yeah.
So
So
okay, so now this is a perfect transition because even though you talk about it in your music, man, and I think you touched it briefly when we was chatting, your relationship with women hasn't been the greatest, but here you are, right, man enough to do the dirt and then accept it. Like, okay, it is what it is. It's fucked up, and I'm looking back on it, and I'm taking responsibility. You
right,
know, and moving forward, hopefully, I learn and make better decisions. Right.
right.
Um, how were you able to, I guess, maneuver or stick to that plan as you get older? Because it gets difficult. Women will always still be there, and
Right.
you're not the young man that you once were.
That
But
I
at the
used to
same,
work, right?
yeah, but you're like, damn, do I keep on being this type of person at times? Like, how do you suppress that other side that maybe wants to come out? Like, how do you maneuver now as you get older and like learn from these mistakes?
I'm still the same nigga. I'm still the same nigga. I have not changed, and that's a sad part. But now
Mm,
I do want to go and say this: my relationships weren't bad.
right.
There's no. I don't. With the I've had. Okay, let me say this: I've had a lot of relationships.
Right.
And with the exception of maybe one or two,
Yeah.
the majority of them, I'm still friends
Mm,
with my exes.
yeah.
The fact that I was able to do a song like Drawing a Blank and name 14 women that I've been in
Yeah.
with in my past, and none of them complained about it. What
Hmm.
they like they didn't
Yeah, they had their
complain.
issues, but yeah.
They had their issues, but they didn't complain
Right.
because I didn't say anything disrespectful, and I didn't
Mhm.
say anything that wasn't true.
Right.
So I'm still friends with the majority of the women that I've dealt with.
Mm.
So I don't say I had bad relationships. I think people change, feelings change, people grow apart, and I think it's a mature thing to recognize that okay, maybe it's not you,
Yeah.
maybe you're not the one for me.
Mm.
But we can still be cool and go on about our lives.
Yeah.
We may see each other again, we may not.
Hmm.
And that's where it is with me. Yo, I fucking every woman that I've ever been with, I love them. And I
Hmm.
still love them. I
Yeah.
won't make no bones about it. From the shortest relationships to the longest ones.
Hmm.
All of these women meant something to me and they came in my life for a reason.
Right.
Um, and I acknowledge that, and I commend them for putting up for whatever bullshit I put them through,
Yeah.
um, and whatever bullshit they put me through. Um, but I don't have no ill feelings towards any of them. And even my son's mother, at first, I hated that bitch. I was like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck? You gonna leave me? And you just gonna
Yeah.
leave our son? Fuck you!
Yeah.
I don't even." But I've
Hey, how
grown
did you
up.
learn to let bygones
Let,
be
let,
bygones and learn from that? Because
I took it and I flipped it, and I said, "Yo, what we talked about earlier. Fathers don't get a chance to raise their kids
mm,
because for whatever reason, unless they're in the house and they're married and blah blah blah."
yeah.
I took it as a blessing at her letting me
Mm,
become this man
mm,
that I probably wouldn't have become, like you said,
yep.
if he was not in my life.
Yep.
So I reversed it. Instead of being mad at her, I had to thank her and
Mm,
say, and I tell her this. I text her today and say, "Yo, I need to let you know that every moment that I spend with our son, I have to thank you because this could have not been. You could have
how
took him, went to Tennessee, and I'd have still
yeah.
been in LA."
How is her, like, what is her feelings? Not to get on her business, but the basics. What is her feelings with that and her journey, accepting that she walked away from this? I would assume that maybe she found peace with it, maybe that, I don't know. But what was her journey with that in a sense today of like, Does she regret it? I know she's proud and happy that you are the man that you are, right?
Right.
But I would guess that that was a tough pill to swallow for her each and every day, knowing that that was the decision that she made.
Right. Well, I'm gonna say this. I can't give you that answer because I
Mm.
don't know what
Eternally.
right, internally what she was thinking. But I will say this: if we're going by human emotion, I know it had to bother her. I
Right.
know it had to bother her because it would bother me
Right.
as having to walk away. So again, I looked at it as being selfish until I got to grow and say, you know what? Maybe it was the best thing for her. That's
Right.
what she needed to do, and I accepted that. And I love her. I'm never
Yeah.
gonna not,
I was
yeah,
gonna say that too, where from the outside looking in, it's fucked up, right?
right,
And it's like, wow,
because
because you hear the stories a lot. Well, mothers, I feel like sometimes by default they have to be there, and with
right,
men, by default they could leave. And it's
right,
like, and there's no if, ands, or buts or arguments about that. It's just you just get a stamp. You are a lame ass nigga who deadbeat dad. That's it. You get the stamp.
right.
Where women is like, no, there's no if, no ands, no buts. In society, you have to be that mother. And if you're not, oh man, you're gonna get dragged for not being that mom. So on the
And she
outside,
did.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of people,
right,
a lot of my friends was like, "This bitch,
right.
what the fuck?" Girls that I
So
was fucking with was like, "Oh,
yeah. So on the outside, I can have those same feelings that anybody would feel like, "What? I can't believe it." But on the other side, I also feel, well, that was also very, in a sense, it was immature, but mature in a way to know that I'm not going to be involved because one, I'm selfish, but I'm also could be potentially fuck this up.
right,
Because if I'm in this and I don't want to be in this, that's the worst thing that you could bring to the
yeah,
table, because it
I,
will ruin you guys' relationship and ruin the relationship between you and your son,
I
her and her
agree."
son. So even if she wasn't this, she would have been this negative, dark cloud, sabotaging a lot of stuff, which could have been very similar to the other relationship you had.
And again, I don't want to, because again, I respect her and I love her, and I don't want to get deep into her business and her issues.
Right, right.
But I will say that you're 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 kind of hitting the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, from what I assessed as we grew,
Yeah.
I felt that it was probably the best thing for her to
Right.
bounce,
Right.
because it could have turned ugly.
Right. I may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, I respect it for you stepping aside. You
Right,
know?
right, yeah.
Mhm.
And again, I would never get into her personal stuff.
Right, right.
That would be for her to talk about. But that's the move she made, and at first I was upset, but that's my dog now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
she's in another relationship with another dude. Sometimes I get a little aggy about that.
Yeah.
I see the pictures I see them post pictures, and I'll be like, this bitch. But 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 you know what?
Yeah.
That's hold on one second.
Yeah.
Yo, John, close the door, please. Because there's too much noise out there and I don't want to hear that. You want to come in for something? What do you want? You see my basketball? No, I do not see your basketball. You know your basketball's not in my office. It's in your room or in the living room. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see them, and I would be lying to you because I would be lying to you if at times I feel like some fucked up shit. We should be together.
Right, right, right.
We
It's
should be
only
together as
natural.
a family. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've also come to accept the fact that we are not. And she's moved on. I've moved on,
Yeah.
and we cool. She's cool. I don't think a lot of some girls that I've dealt with have issues with it and feel like I should feel like they feel, because they have 4 or 5 baby fathers and they
Yeah.
don't get along with their baby father. So how are you getting along? Why is your relationship
Well, it's
so
like this
stable
grudge. It doesn't make sense to hold on to this anger and grudge for so
at
many
all?
years. It's
At all.
it's very heavy. Where they think that by being petty is the answer, but that takes energy. Like, yeah, like you
Too
said,
much.
I at one point I hated the bitch. At one point, couldn't stand her. But am I
Right.
gonna carry those feelings that will weigh me down subconsciously for so many years, or am I gonna learn from this and that looks like you did, flip it and be free from it? Because at the end of the day, you wiped your hands. She has her own journey to deal with now. With
Right.
that, I'm not gonna carry your shit and my shit. Fuck that.
Right. So yeah, that's the God's honest truth. Yeah, and then you holding that for what, 18 years, 21 years until your child is gone.
Mhm.
And nah, man,
Yeah.
I got way too many other things to
Mhm.
let that block me. And again, at this point, I am at a very content place with her. Like I said, I'm always going to love her. Uh, at times, I feel like I want to hit it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Don't,
you
man.
know,
Don't set
no, no, no,
yourself
no,
up, bro. Come
no. But
on,
she,
John.
but, no, 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 no. But like I said, she got a man. I don't.
Okay.
I'm just saying. You know.
No, I know
I,
you want to hit, but I'm like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, yeah, nah, nah,
yeah, yeah,
nah. But I'm just keeping it 100.
yeah,
I'm I'm a dude, man.
yeah. Of
And
course, I get it. Yeah,
my baby mama is kind of sexy.
yeah.
I smash if she
Right.
if she let me. So,
Well, tell her come over the house, have a family dinner.
she all into this
Yeah,
dude, man, and
yeah,
I like that. I like that, man. So I
yeah.
hope
That's
that
good.
that shit works out for them.
How do you stay motivated doing so many things and uh wearing so many hats? How do you stay motivated, and what inspires you to continue to create your content? And what I love about you, like we connected years ago, and like I was like a fan of yours, and I gave you your flowers. I was like, I was a fan of yours when you was creating these sketches with Afion and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, this is so dope. And then your music, and then I'm just like, man, just to see, showing love to me, I was like, this is like a full circle moment. Like, this is my moment where it's like, this was somebody that I was following and seeing him doing those stuff, and I was inspired by. And it's so dope to like now break bread with the same dude that I was seeing, right? And
Right,
I just want to know, like, what keeps you inspired to keep creating your own content? Because when I look at you, I look at someone who who has that status, may not have, is not everywhere on TV or whatever, but no,
right,
you paved your own way, you created your own way, and continue to pave your own way. And that to me is the definition of making it. You know, you have
right,
you have your you have your you have your you have this legacy that you've been already putting out there. And as you continue to grow, seeing the growth from the outside, from the music, right? And also the
right.
things that you're putting out there from your work, sketches and what you're writing. And I want to know, like, how do you stay, what inspires you to keep doing what you're doing, wearing all these hats, being involved in so many things?
Right. Um, People like you. I
Mm.
see, like when I seen your web series, I was like, damn, that's pretty dope.
Mm.
That's inspiring. That make me sit down and write something. Um, there's people. I I I was I don't know, but I feel like me, David Spates, Afion, were one of the first who got on the YouTube game
Yeah.
way back in the day,
Yep.
and and I kind of liken it to the old NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain didn't get a lot of money for what they did.
Mm.
Um, and that's how I feel we were.
I love
And
what you're
then
going.
and then then they came. I'm going to jump forward a lot, but then came the King Batches and the Day Storms and all these
Mm-hmm.
people, and they are reaping the benefits and more. I don't have no hate
Right.
towards any of them, but what I would like is acknowledgement.
Mm.
Like
Right.
yo, John O was, even if you hit me with that brother's been doing it he was one of the first.
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't need no accolades or no fans or no trophies, no money. Just just give me the head nod. Yo,
Right.
that's and I'm cool with that. So It's cats like them, yourself, that inspire me. Some dudes are horrible and they
Mm-hmm.
do trash shit, and that also inspires me to not roll down that route.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot of fucking garbage on the internet.
Facts.
Um, there's a lot of cats who seen me, Dave, or who have seen you, and say, "Oh, I can do that," and they think it's simple. They
Man.
think it's easy to do this shit, and it's not. It takes a lot for you to fucking come up with an idea,
Mm-hmm.
write that idea out, shoot that idea, edit that idea, and then place it on whatever platform you're
Yeah.
placing it. They just think it's just something. Oh, be pointing. Everybody that has a camera is not a director.
Mm.
And everybody, and I learned that the hard way
Mm.
through the music, because I try to work with different directors, and some younger than others, who are so used to rappers coming to them and saying, "Yo, just shoot me in front of my building with my boys."
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they don't understand treatment. When I come to them with a treatment
Mm-hmm.
or a shot list, they're like, "Well, what's this?"
Yeah.
So everybody with a camera is not a director. Everybody that has a funny idea doesn't know how to execute it the way
Mm-hmm.
it should be. So yeah, you got to fight through the trash,
Yeah.
but even the trash is inspiring.
Yeah.
So all of that,
Inspires you
yo,
and makes you
kudos.
stay true to yourself.
Yes, exactly, and kudos. And I gotta big you up, because your web series, one, shine the light on something that I am, a
Mm.
single for, like a dad.
Yeah.
Uh, and two, just I thought the humor in it was very good. The way it looked was very good. The sound, I'm a big man. I'm a
Mm.
big advocate of
Mm-hmm.
the sound. The sound
Mm.
and the lighting is two things that some people take for granted.
Right.
Um, and so things like that. When you look at Issa Rae's first Awkward Black
Yeah.
Girl, that shit was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
shot. It wasn't shot well.
Yeah.
But the perseverance,
And the
she was
content.
smart. The
Mm-hmm.
content,
The substance of it.
this right.
Yep.
So yeah, man. Big up her. Donald Glover, another one. His early stuff, it was, some
Mm-hmm.
of it was good, some of it was trash.
Right.
But he was a hell of a fucking writer,
Mm-hmm.
and a fucking multifaceted, multi-talented person
Mm-hmm.
who has superseded all of that shit that he did on YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, cats like them,
Yeah.
both of them inspire me.
What are some, I guess, gems or support that Afion passes on to you, because you guys are both creatives, and I know I have people that are in the industry too, that when I become well, you guys are family, but I'm just saying, like, where in my situation, people who I see in this industry that I become close with, that becomes family to me eventually, like, and I see the grind that they go through, and to me it's like, it's very inspiring, and they also drop gems and words of encouragement, which goes a long way, man, in this artistic journey that we're in, because there's no guarantees. The only guarantee is just you doing it, and you finding a way to do it. But everything else, there's no guarantees how it's going to hit people, how you're going to get this money to produce it and stuff like that. But then when you meet people who are in the industry, and then you're close with them, it does hit something different when they drop words of encouragement and gems, or even work with them.
Right.
What were some of those moments with you, Afion, even
Right.
because he raps as well, which I think is fucking dope. So you guys been
Right.
around each other a while. So, and also another thing I want to ask, because also it's a natural thing sometimes in jealousy, where people will go further than other areas, where I felt that, but I felt like my jealousy that I felt was a positive one, if that makes
Okay.
sense. It wasn't like, man, why this nigga get, he's like,
Right.
it was like, man, like, that's dope. He's doing it. That means I can do it.
Right.
So it was a jealousy of more like, damn,
Inspiration. It was an
yeah,
inspiring jealousy.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I will feel maybe that's something similar that between you and Afion. So what were some gems that you guys, just shooting the shit
Okay.
and words of encouragement?
So there's two things that Ace has said to me throughout our tenure of doing things.
Yeah.
And these are one of the two of the biggest things. One is always protect your brand.
Mm.
Protect your brand. Don't shoot shit with people who are doing shitty shit, because that fucks up your brand and brings you down. The other one is to always bet on yourself. Nobody, bet on yourself. Afion took his own money and shot his own comedy special. Yeah. All of that shit came out of his pocket. So now when he sells it, he gets all the money back.
Mm-hmm.
And then some, because I'm sure he's not going to make a deal for what he spent.
Right.
So those are two of the biggest things. The thing that I think him and I both shared with each other was, and we have this saying called "get the shot." No matter what it is, make sure you get that fucking shot. And what that meant was, we do a lot of guerrilla shooting. We all do. And if the police is coming, keep the camera running. Get the shot. Get the shot.
Yeah.
And we'll deal with that other shit later.
Yeah.
So there were times where we did things that, there was one sketch very early on where we was called The Diary of Toby Bryant. and I was Toby's older brother, I was Kobe's older brother. I said Toby. I was Kobe's older brother, who he would always son. He would shit on me at every chance we get. One day we was down at the Staples Center, and we were going out to the Staples Center to shoot some shit. And unbeknownst to us, we didn't know that we couldn't shoot on the Staples Center at the Staples Center.
Yeah.
And the security came and everything. And I stayed in character. And Afion kept the camera rolling. Even though security was like, y'all got to get the fuck off of here. But I was like, yo, I'm Toby Bryant. I'm Kobe's brother. And then some group of white kids was like, yeah, that's Toby Bryant.
That's hilarious.
And security was like, we're not trying to hear that. Shut the camera off. I was like, no, because if my brother come out here, y'all gonna lose your job.
Yeah.
So always be prepared to get the shot, because that's what made that sketch funny, is that, oh shit, they get ready to get kicked out of there or get arrested, but they kept the cameras rolling. Those things are just little gems, man.
That's
and
great.
as we continue to go, there's always more, man.
Of course.
Afion is great financially. He's I don't want to say he's a whiz, but he knows how to manage money. So it's things like that.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I want to touch on the acting. I know what the rapping does for you in fatherhood. Now, what does the acting bring to you? What did you explore within yourself with that? Because that's touching another layer of John L that I'm interested about.
Right. The acting gives me the ability and the freedom to be something else. I have to be John Ollie's father, and John Ollie's father has to make sure John Ollie does his homework and he eats and he does this. These characters give me a chance to explore not being John's dad. I get to play in this world of pretend and get paid for it. And I think as a kid, I'm the middle child, but for a while I was the baby, and I was the only kid with my mom. My other two siblings lived across the street with my grandparents. So a lot of times I was playing with myself. Pause. So it gave me chance to play pretend and make up these characters and do these things, and it gives you an escapism of of fun, a
Yeah.
fake reality that you can get to play in this world and have a good time, whether you're doing comedy, whether you're doing drama, or suspense or whatever. But it gives you a freeingness. Also, I would say for me, especially now, I can't wait to do something where I have to be extremely vulnerable,
Mm.
because I think I've allowed myself to open up to people in my music that it will flow over into. I think I'll be a lot freer.
You don't have to think. It's absolutely. I could tell you
Yeah,
right now, like
yeah,
you should pursue
yeah.
that, and you should write in that form because it's going to connect with you and connect with others.
Right,
And I think honestly, this is your strength. Your truth is your strength, and that's going to separate you from a lot of other people because you're sharing John O's truth. And then
right,
along that, sharing different versions of John O's that's going to spill to different characters and what you're writing. So
right,
I'll definitely say that, which I know you are probably most likely doing, but keep going on that train of
right,
truth and writing that, especially, man, your sketches, your short films or films, whatever you want to do, everything you're doing, continue to create, it's going to hit different because it's hitting from the inside. And if you
right,
feel, I always say this, because when I do my one man plays, I don't, I don't like per se, I don't know where certain moments are going to hit, but I just know that when I wrote it, if I connected to it and I went through the emotions because I'm being so vulnerable, honest, I know that's going to translate to the audience. Because
right,
one thing is we are human, we all have emotions, whether you want to fight it or not, and whether you cry or not, you're going to feel something inside. And whether you admit it or not, it's two different things. But I guarantee you, when I'm attacking you with the truth to your jugular, you're going to feel something because I
right,
felt it. And I had the same ego at one point too. It was like, yeah, I didn't have a father that shit didn't really bother me. But deep down, I'm like, nah, that shit did hurt. It's just like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? But I know you're gonna feel something. So I can't wait to see more of your music that you're
Right.
doing on that route, but also the content you're gonna create on that lane.
Yeah, I'm working on something that's very dramatic. Um, Oddly enough, it's called Lawton.
Mm,
Um, and we'll see how that works out, because I definitely want to do that. I think most, and again, I don't consider myself a stand-up comic. I do
mm,
consider myself a comedic actor, and
mm.
I think as a comedic actor, I definitely have the stand-up ability, which I'm getting ready to start doing that.
Nice.
Um, but
Open up for Afion, man. Come
yeah,
on.
listen, you already, he already said that.
Nice.
He's like, yo, the reason I'm telling you to go learn, do some stand-up is so you could go on the road with me and get this extra
Mm,
money.
that's
So,
dope.
so yeah, I definitely
Shout out
feel
to
that
people helping other people.
people
That's
all day.
that's something that needs to continue, and that's how we grow and build together with the people who have the same work ethic, right? And
Right,
same track of mind. Like, let's do this together. So shout out to
right.
that, because that's, we need more of that. People
Yeah,
helping other people, no matter what status
facts.
you're on, because that's how
Right.
you learn and grow and build together.
Hey, I'm going to jump off subject, but
Yeah.
not really, because using that, 'cause helping other people. To go back to what you were saying before about jealousy,
Mm,
um, there was a point where, and it wasn't like crazy fighting or nothing like that,
yeah.
but there was a point where Afe and I was like,
Yeah.
you know, he ain't feeling my ideas,
Mm,
or he ain't feeling this, and and we had to take this break
break.
or whatever, and in prior to that break, this was right during the Making the Band sketches, and we were doing the Making the Band sketches, and I think Afe came out with a haunted house,
Mm,
or scary house, scary, whatever it's called. And we was at the premiere, and as we were walking out, Marlon Wayans comes to me, and he's like, "Yo, man, I seen all the sketches y'all do. Them shits is funny, man." And then he says to me, this is funny because this was around the time where Afe and I were kind of bumping heads,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't know if he just sensed it or whatever, but he says to me, he's like, "Yo, you got to get from under Afion."
Mm.
You have to make your own mark. And he
Mm.
said, take it from a brother who
Mm.
knows being under a talented family
Mm.
where Keenan and Damon and Sean and Kim and all of these Wayans,
Yeah.
have made their mark. And I'm their baby brother and they're going to look out for me, but I had to make my own way. So
Mm.
this is why I wrote Scary House or Haunted House. I don't know which one it's
Yeah.
called,
Yeah.
but Scary Movie or whatever it's
Mm-hmm.
called. And Haunted House. I had to show myself as a writer and say, oh, I can do this as
Yeah.
Marlon and not just as, oh, this is Marlon Wayans.
Mm.
He's Keenan's brother.
Yeah.
So he gave me some of the best advice was from
Yeah.
Marlon Wayans, and that's when Afe and I kind of took a break.
Which was needed for you guys
Yeah,
to individually do what you got to do and
right.
build.
And I created for me some of my best shit. Harlem River Drive, I did without him. The Untold Michael Bivins story,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other sketches that I thought were my top choice shit.
Yeah.
And all that was because I stepped out and be like,
Yeah.
all right, man, Ace, go do you, and I'm gonna go do me. And we'll
Shout
come
out.
back.
No, go ahead. And you come
No,
back.
and we'll come back. We'll come back together and do whatever we need to do.
And you guys will come back stronger because you guys need to go on this journey individually to learn from it. And it's
Right.
only natural. You guys have a relationship, right? And it's only natural in relationship that you take breaks, you step aside, and you got to figure out your own self. And I think that's thank you for sharing that, because that's beautiful to hear. Because whether you have a creative partner, that is a relationship in itself, where you guys are learning how to communicate, learning these things. But after a while, you may not see eye to eye on things, and maybe this is the time that is needed now to venture off and figure out our own things. And that gave you the power to show what you wanted to do that may have not fit you guys together. And that's not to say that it would have sucked that if you guys did it together. It was like, no, this was needed for me. These projects were needed in this journey with me and I to do this. Just like he had to go and do his own thing too as well. Right. And shout out to Marlon, because I heard great things about this dude, that he's just a very humble dude, and that type of person always give love. And it's like, to me, it's like I would love to meet him one day. But to me, it was like when I went to college to figure out what I wanted to do, right? I always knew comedy was the thing and writing was the thing. And then eventually in my third year, I got into this brand new writing program in the college. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I ended up getting it. And it was like for writing, directing, all that good stuff. And I remember, now I'm around all these white kids, right? I'm like the only Latino person of color there. And they're going around the table of people that inspired them. Like, and they naming the Spielbergs, they naming all these other
Lucases,
the Lucases,
right.
all these people. And I'm aware of these, directors, but it didn't affect me how it affect them, right? My people on my list. And when I went around the table, I think at one point I felt a little like, not embarrassed. I felt like not embarrassed, but I felt a little uncomfortable sharing it, because I'm like, well, these people felt like the impact felt like those people that you just named. And it was Marlon Wayans, it was Martin Lawrence, it was Jamie Foxx. Like, it was like I was naming all. I said Richard Pryor, like, because these were the shows that I was watching in my TV and a small room in the projects that made me, that I could relate to. And I did watch my Full House Moments shows and all that stuff. Right. But these was the people that I was like Sean Wayans and all them and the Wayans brothers. I'm like, this is what I connect. This is like, wow, I didn't know you could be funny or, get paid for it. There's a business for this. And that kind of like a shine a light on me. I was like, man, this is a great feeling. And these were the people that I wouldn't say look up to, because I don't like using that word, because I don't know them, the ins and outs of them. But I was inspired by their craft and what they did. So I was like, man, and to this day, I say those people proud. Like, yeah, these are the people. And then eventually I learned about these other directors, right? But for me, if I go back to the basics, back to where I was, that young kid watching, that's what was showing me. like, and it affected to me.
I could say this about the Wayans that I've met. All of them have been extremely nice, humble, and down to earth. Marlon, I can't even express how, like, Marlon is my dude.
Mhm.
Um, Damon Jr. Damon Jr. was just here
Mm.
in Oklahoma City. I went to see him, and he says to me, "Yo," when he sees me, he says, "Yo, I got another show tomorrow. You want to get up and do some stand up?"
Mm.
Like, he just like people
Yeah.
don't do, people don't do that. You want to
Yeah.
like offer up their set like that to come on,
Yeah.
So like,
Did you do it?
Damien, no, because
Oh, okay.
the comedy club is an hour and a half away from my house,
Gotcha.
and I had to drive. So but what he did do, that's why I said earlier, he inspired me to say, you know what, I'm gonna go write some stand up. So that I could be prepared, because I wasn't really prepared for that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go up there, and I'm a person who takes everything I do extremely serious. And I don't want to bullshit the craft. I know, so I know what it takes, because I'm around a lot of comedians, and I've seen the great ones, the Eddie Murphys, the Richard Pryors, the Martin Lawrences.
Eddie Murphy was my list. Yep.
Yeah. Eddie, Eddie was my dude. That when I seen him on SNL, I was like, oh shit.
Yes.
This guy is fucking phenomenal.
That's how I felt at 13 years old when I found those VHS tapes of my brother. Luckily, it was no porn, but it was SNL of Eddie Murphy, like the best of. I remember laughing like I was an adult, and I was like, oh man, like, yeah.
That dude at that time was that dude. Like,
and put on and helped a lot of people, which a lot
of people, a lot of people let that go under the radar, and I think he's like, whatever. Yeah. But that dude has helped so many folks, and he's always been my number one when it comes to acting, comedic actors.
Yeah, that
dude was the dude. Yeah. As you can see, I got him. This is my Mount Rushmore of comedy, and I don't care what nobody say. Bill Cosby.
Separate the work from whatever he did, but yeah, the work is the work.
Flip Wilson, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, and Eddie Murphy. Those 5 guys, as far as comedy goes, are my comedy gods. Like, those are my dudes right there.
Right. So that's great, and it's always feel refreshing when I hear other people speak about that, because I feel the same way. Like, we look up to, when, like, in the school that I was in, and I learned a lot from these different white directors. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like if I ever became a professor, which I would love to do, I will be teaching both. Here are the people of color that influenced me and made an impact in the industry that don't get the flowers as much, So just like I could always, Scorsese's and all that stuff, but no, here's a list of people of color, because that's also important, whether you are white or black or anything, to know the facts that just because these white directors or white actors made an impact, here's a list of people of color that also made an impact in the industry that should be known as well, because the contributions are should be noted and made a difference. Down.
Right. Yeah. We already know, from the Spike Lees to the John Singletons to, the Matty Rich back in the day with the girl on the IRT. One of my slept on, and only because we talking about directors, and it's the 25th anniversary of my favorite movie of all time, Love Jones. This guy, I don't know if he's done anything else other than Love Jones, but his name is Theodore Witcher. He shot Love Jones, and I'm an extreme fan of that movie. I know the shit back and forth. And just that whole Black renaissance of films in that 90s period with Love and Basketball and The Best Man and The Wood.
The Wood is one of my favorite movies.
Really?
One of my favorite, just because of the story, the casting of it. I'm like, Glue. I could watch that. That's to me. That's like a movie. Like that's like a Friday. The movie Friday. That's like well, I could always put it on and laugh at it, enjoy it. Like I think it was such a well done movie from everything.
It was very well done. Again,
It's a classic for me. That's how I felt.
The casting of it, like you said, and the flashbacks to when they were younger to then when they got older, like all of that was very good. I think it's in the realm of those black movies. I think it's one of those that's kind of slept on.
Yes,
like everybody goes to Love Jones, The Best Man, Love and Basketball. Yes. Those kind of like those are the three. Yes, Holy Trinity. Another one that I loved, and it took me a minute, was Brown Sugar.
I saw it once. I loved it, but I'm like, it's not definitely not on my list. Yeah.
And I think because it had the hip hop underlying of it was what was attracted to me, and I love Mos Def. I think Mos Def as an actor is fucking amazing. So yeah, man. Nice. So
John, I'm gonna move forward to our last segment where I've been shuffling cards, and these cards had like 2 questions on it. It's like life questions. So I just randomly pick one, and then I'm gonna ask you them, and then you just answer it. So the first one is, what are your worst habits?
You see your thumbs?
Yeah.
So I'm doing it right now. You can't see me. I have a tendency to pick the skin. like that is.
I bite my nails. That's a bad.
Yeah. That's one of my. I don't know why I do that, but I constantly do that. Another one of my habits is. It's not.
You fuck the babysitters.
Well, yes. Yo, let me tell you, this particular babysitter, she was younger and the pussy was so good. Yo, hey man, listen, I think back right now, I'm like, God damn. Man, she was bad. Young, man, the ass was so soft and Okay, but anyway, so one of my other bad habits is I like to get things done, right? But sometimes instead of getting everything done, I don't want to use procrastinate because that's not what I do. I'll be like, okay, I did 3 things. I'll do the other ones tomorrow.
Gotcha.
And I could be getting them done today. So I guess that is a form of procrastination in a sense.
But it's also good because you did 3 things though. That's
And I think everyone should have a list of things that they need to do, and on that list, get at least 3 things done a day.
Yeah. Yep.
3 things, whether it's doing whatever it is, washing the car, doing the laundry, every day. This should be not a day going in your life that there's something that you should not be getting done.
Yep, I agree.
And that's a philosophy that I think people should adapt or adopt. Yeah. So
the next question is, what are your best habits besides fucking?
Okay. My best habits is telling the truth. There has been occasions where I had to withhold certain things, but I feel like I am my most honest me that I am right now. It was 2, right? You said 2?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay,
it's 2. It was 2 questions and whatever came to mind. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah.
Which was you being
my truthful self. Like, listen, being truthful to me. Again, never to hurt anyone, but I have to speak this from my point of view, and this is my truth. Again, I revert back to drawing a blank. The only reason I keep reverting back to that because it was a whole bunch of girls, and you know what? I'm gonna say their name. Fuck that. I'm not gonna say her real name because I called her something in the song. So this one girl, damn. This is, let me say, drawing a blank taught me not to let people hear my stuff before it comes out anymore. Okay, so I played it for one girl on the song named Tiffany, who was my girlfriend, and at the time, and she was like, "Oh, I like the song, but I just feel like I was a number in your life now," and that fucking shook me. It shook me, and it almost made me want to go back and redo the whole fucking song. Like, all because this one girl said that, because I really valued her opinion, because it was, I talked about her, and I only said, and I didn't say anything bad. I said I could have married her, but if things would have went right. But just
but we're just a number in everybody's lives, if you think about it.
That's facts. I didn't have that fucking comeback. I should have had that retort when she said that.
If you want to get deep about it, we're just a
right,
number in everybody.
Right. I know I'm a number in your life. Let's be honest. You've had other dudes before me,
exactly.
but I
value and I honor the number that you can't, that you was part there. Yeah.
And it could have been another girl in this spot that I talked about. I chose to talk about you because you made an impact in my life. So, and then yeah, I gotta continue to be honest with myself about who I am, how I feel, and that. But yeah, that was one time that kind of got me like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I didn't let any other girl hear it until it came out, and then the CHB girl, she had an issue. Oh, all these girls here, you talk about this one is your soulmate and you could have married this one, but on my part is about how the sex was good between us. And I'm like, listen, I can't. The thing that I don't think people understand, if you're not an artist or if you're not a writer, and the sad part is she's a writer, everybody can't be the same. You can't have all the same characters in a fucking play, because that shit would be boring. So I have to talk about, this one was great with sex, and this one I fell in love with, and this one's breath stinks, and this one, that's what makes it what it was. And I don't know if a lot of people picked up on it, but the reason I wrote Drawing a Blank, because I was at work one night, and I'm gonna make this real small. I was listening to Jay-Z's Girls, Girls, Girls. And that song, Drawing a Blank, is an exact replica of that, because that's where I took it from. When he says, I had an Asian girl and a black girl and black, and then I did the same thing. I said there was Tiffany and blah blah blah. I took Jay-Z's structure and I made it, because I heard his song and I was like, damn, I got a girl like that. The only difference between Jay and I is that I said their names, and he just
and also you went deeper with your emotions with it.
With my emotions with it, right? So yeah. So I'm sorry I took a roundabout way, but telling my truth.